episode 2, which means we recorded the first one and then actually came back for another one. So that feels worth acknowledging. Well done, Barbara.
It does.
I know. If you're new here, I'm Gill, and this is the lovely Barbara. And she's joining us out of Thailand. I'm in Australia, and this is Midrising Real Talk. This is where we have honest conversations about midlife, identity, and the moments where things are quietly starting to shift. So lots of good conversations and lots of great topics that we cover here. So while Barbara and I are actually coming from different parts of the world, what we have noticed is that a lot of what we discuss are global topics hitting and impacting lots of midlife women. So we formed this podcast to hopefully make everything feel a little bit more normal. And so hello and welcome, episode 2. Here we go, Barbara. I have actually got my wine tonight. It's been one of those days. It's already covered in lipstick, but
it's been a tough day, Jill, today.
As I've been in the city, I've been back and met a couple of new clients and getting amongst it. All right, so listen, the episode today is identity. It's not a crisis, it's a shift. Really, there's a moment a lot of women hit where they realize something has shifted and they can't quite put their finger on it yet. And that really is the undertone of what mid-rising is. Everyone hits midlife, but I think once you get to that point of mid-rising, you really sort of felt something shifting. And so they're the types of topics that we're going to be discussing throughout our podcast journey. So, yeah, you can't really put your finger on it, but you feel the shift. You're still functioning and you're still showing up. You're still doing all the things. But underneath, there really is that quiet question humming away about, who am I? I have talked to so many women who have all raised this identity shift. And really, it's not a crisis. I think that's some term that we just need to drop from way back because a lot of people don't feel like a crisis. They feel like they need to work through things, but it's more of that awareness that they're feeling inside themselves and this process that they're starting to go through. And a lot of women actually feel quite alone in that thinking and don't realize that so many others are going through it. So that's what we're here for. We're here to raise that awareness and to make it feel like a safe space to talk about these things. I think we're one of the generations, one of the most recent generations where we do talk a lot about things, whereas my mother would never. She would never have spoken to her mother about her periods or, boys breaking up or anything like that. So let alone going through any sort of mental load that I feel really fortunate that our generations are one of the first to really be opening up about it. So, look, this episode's not about fixing that feeling. We've declared before that we are not here to provide advice. We are not doctors. We are not psychologists. We are 2 midlife women coming at a lot of topics that are hitting everyone. So we are throwing our 2 cents in and hoping to find our tribe and hoping that what we have to share resonates and sparks a conversation. I think everything that we're going to be discussing is really important. And that's why we're here. So Barbara is in the hot seat again today. Well done, Barbara. She's ready to go. I've got some questions here for you, Barbara, which we'll start off with. But first of all, how are you feeling and how was your day today?
Today has been a funny day, actually. Interesting. Thank you for asking. It's been one of those days where it's not really that I feel lost. Today I just feel sad. Don't really know why. I think it's another beautiful gift that comes with mid-rising. There is nothing specific that I can put my finger on. Nothing has happened. Nothing particularly has hit me, has changed. Today I feel a bit deflated. So I was thinking, God, today I'm deflated. Are we going to do this podcast because I'm deflated? And then I thought to myself, actually, I'll do it anyway. And then now that we are on the podcast, I feel re-energized. So maybe I was missing something.
Me, Barbara.
Maybe
I think it's really important though that you tap into these things because a lot of the time, if you don't stop to feel them, then you'll find yourself just going to the next day, to the next day, to the next day, and then you start to get into like a repeatable spiral. So I
Yeah.
love these Tuesdays because quite frankly, I could have worked till midnight tonight. And the fact that we have this locked in every Tuesday night at 8 o'clock means that I will stop. And I love these podcasts because I'm not working on my business, the Mum Assembly. I'm not working in my full-time corporate role. I'm not a mum. This is an hour that I get to be me.
It's you.
It really is all about what this podcast is. And it does give us at least 1 hour a week where we can just check ourselves in with how we're doing, bounce off each other, and hopefully help others start to feel like they belong somewhere as well, and that they're not alone in however they're feeling, whether that's up or down or I don't know why. So I think it is really important that we're having these conversations, and hopefully by the end of this podcast, Barbara, you'll be feeling a little bit better.
I feel already better. It's fascinating. I
Excellent.
didn't think about it until you asked. I have forgotten. I've been like that all day.
Well, let's crack on, shall we, and see how we go.
Yeah.
And this is a big topic. This is a huge topic for midlife women. Identity. Oh God, I could probably ramble on about how I've just in that 7 months, my identity has flipped or come out. But we'll get to that. We'll get to that, Barbara. So let's start with you. A lot of women talk about feeling like they've lost themselves. When did that feeling first show up for you?
Mm. God, where's my glass of wine now? I need one.
I know, I'm just going to sit back and relax now for a minute.
You skipped what I'm thinking. Do you know, I actually think it's been happening for a while, but hadn't quite realized. It's one of those things, sometimes people ask you, what happened? What changed? And for a while I've been thinking, why have I felt so completely lost? Probably that's the right words to start with, completely lost. And then when I started thinking back and I thought, well, hold on, what does it mean that I'm lost? In what way? And then I realized that, I know it might sound silly, but I think many other women might recognize this. Gill, you look at yourself, I don't know if it happened to you, you look at yourself at the mirror one day. And it could be the visual, where you look at yourself and you don't recognize yourself, or visually, you look the same. You're still you. But for whatever reason, you don't feel like you're you, the way that you used to see yourself, if you know what I mean, inside. So I think what has been happening is that a lot of things have started changing. People say, oh, this happens when there is maybe a big transition in your life. A big transition, of course. There might be, I don't know, you get married, you become a mother, you divorce, someone dies. Of course, there are massive transitions. Of course, they're going to change the way that you feel, and you're going to have to go through the grieving process. But one thing I realized, which I think it's one of the changes that's been happening, and let's see if I can put it into the right words. It's almost like I cannot find myself anymore. When I said lost before, it's like and I've been here for, many years, 54, so 54 years. And I've known myself all my life as a certain person. And I couldn't really quite put my finger on it, but I realized probably a short while ago that the way I've been looking at myself or recognizing myself is a certain Barbara. The Barbara that the public knows. The Barbara that the public knows is the Barbara that has always had a high-flying job, worked for different companies, sociable.
Do you think that's a Barbara that you've actually created over time? Do you think that is the real Barbara, or do you think that really is? Because I talk about the corporate cloak that I lost, that I had built that I didn't realize I had. And when that was removed, that was my identity moment, really. Do you feel like you have lost something rather than reverting back to maybe who you really are at your core?
Yes, I actually think that the cloak or the coat or whatever jumper, the Christmas jumper I was wearing for all these years, or the mask, sometimes you can call it a mask. I think somehow I created that, or being in that world, I don't know if it made me want to create it or if I had no choice, whatever it is, I ended up with a certain persona. Maybe that's the right way to say it, right? A persona. And then when things changed, that persona wasn't there anymore. I couldn't see her anymore. So, for example, if we talk about a big change, in my career, there has been a big change. I no longer work for a corporate. I'm my own, entrepreneur, and life is very different when you have your own business. And things change, and the structure you had before, the people you had around, everything changes. So I started thinking for a while, Jill, oh my God, I can't find myself anymore. Where's Barbara gone? And then I started wondering, worrying about, am I even valuable? I know it might sound crazy to some people. What's my worth? And for a while, probably the whole of last year in particular, when my situation changed, I started thinking, hold on, am I worth anything? Which sounds scary, right? How is this possible? What is that? Hold on. It's almost like, you go around and you lift the rug and go, hold on, where's the Barbara gone? That's the Barbara I knew. What's happened to her? Where is she gone? And even if, again, I look at myself in the mirror and maybe some days I will recognize myself, oh yeah, I still look the same. I don't feel the same. Some
Yeah.
days I look the same. So I started wondering what happened to that persona I created. But to your point, I actually had created it. I realize now.
Yeah, and I mean, when you talk about your value and your worth, I find that really interesting because a lot of women tie that to what they do, not who they are. So we tie it to being a mum. We tie
Yeah.
it to our titles, to our jobs, to what we achieve. We forget to tie it to our core principles and our values, and that's really who we are at the soul of it. And
Yeah.
I don't believe that changes through our life. I believe I mean, you can, but I guess just the core values of who I am as a person. I like to think that I'm open and giving and loving and all those wonderful things, right? Yeah, well, we won't list the other all of it, but I'm not my job title. I'm not just a mom. Like that doesn't make me Jill. Like I was Jill before I became a mom. I was Jill before I had a corporate career when I was Jill when I was traveling. I was Jill when I was single. There's all these Jills. The core of that person is the same. And I think you can absolutely get caught up in when a job consumes so much of your time, and especially like a global role where you're extended hours, like it consumes even more time. It's very easy, I think, to get wrapped up into that and then for that to become your persona and for that to take over. And so I think
Yeah.
that when that shifts, you've got to just do that internal work to go back to who am I? What am I all about? And then try and come out of that somehow.
And it is what you said before. You have to go through the flow. You need to process it. You need
Yeah.
to, I mean, acceptance is almost like, again, a grief cycle. It just reminded me of a conversation I had with a friend years ago. And I was thinking, in that case, her transition, like many of us, was from her own self and her becoming a mother. And then a few years later, she now has two kids. I remember a few years later, we had a conversation, and she was saying to me, she felt really sad, she felt really lonely, she felt really low, and then she couldn't really understand. She said, "I have a beautiful family, gorgeous kids, happy. I'm happy with my husband. I have a wonderful set of friends. I have a good job, a beautiful house, a lovely dog. Why am I feeling this way?" And
But something's still not right.
right. Right. And then she did the work that you were saying. And when she looked inside and she took the time to just process it, she realized, and I will never forget, she was grieving the person that she was before she became a mom. She was grieving her pre being a mom persona.
A friend right in that space. Absolutely.
Right?
Yes, 100%. And I think we talked about it last week where when like just focusing on mums for a moment, when you start being a mum and when by the time they start to become independent beings and you've got more time on your hands, we talk about my pieces of the pie, and you start reclaiming that, you're often not the same person like where you went in and you came out. But that doesn't stop the longing of the carefree days and the lightness that you felt. I mean, you've less responsibilities, you've less things to worry about, you've got so much more freedom. If you want to go do something, you don't have to yell at however many kids you've got to find the shoes and put them on and get them out the door. You literally can just get the keys and go. So I totally get that, and that that longing for easier days and who you were, because it's all connected. It's all connected. You take on so
Yeah,
much responsibilities through life: mortgages, children, partners, jobs.
yeah,
And it's just layers and layers and layers and layers on top of. So
yeah.
it gets squished down.
Yes, and that's, that was another way where how you can disappear. You just don't
Yeah,
recognize yourself.
get
Or you
flattened. Yeah.
And then in her case, she went through the same transition. She's mid-rising as well. She processed what was happening. And then, the next thing is going to hit her is the menopause, but I haven't quite told her that yet.
No, it's like when you're pregnant. No one tells you how about pregnancy, birthing until after, and then it's like women's code that you don't talk about it to new mothers. Okay, Barbara, let's go on to question two.
Right.
When you say I don't know who I am anymore, what does that mean in real life, and how does that show up day to day for you?
Inside. In real life, I think the first word that comes to my head, and there might be a recurring theme here from the last podcast, fear.
Yeah, very real.
Feeling lost and fear. I think fear is the biggest word. Why fear? Because all of a sudden, I can't find myself. And I don't remember if we discussed this last time, but one of the things that happens when you feel this way in real life, in many occasions, not everyone, my experience at least, I started thinking for a while, thank God it's not, that I had dementia. I really started worrying, and I went to see a few doctors and I had a few checkups because I really felt like it was not just brain fog or memory loss. It
Mm,
was just literally a whole part of myself that had gone, could not find it.
wow.
I could not function the way that was functioning before. So I think the loss of identity for me personally hit me mostly in real life by putting me in a position of panic. Panic that something was not right. Panic that, and the other word is the one I used before, I was never going to be worthy. Sounds crazy, right? I kept thinking that I had lost all my value. So in real life, if I'll give you an example, I would be used to working with groups of people. So I will work
Yeah.
with my team, I will have peers, I will have to, I will
Busy.
have yeah, so you present yourself, you discuss things with different people, you make decisions together with my customers, or internally with my peers or my team. And all of a sudden, maybe it's the same as when the kids grow up and they leave the house. I felt like, oh, hold on, there's nobody around me anymore. Oh, and somehow that translated into, well, I'm not needed anymore. Oh,
I have a feeling of abandonment.
yes,
Yeah,
completely.
because I think when you're surrounded by so many people, and we're both leaders, and when you're leading, and then all of a sudden that's not there, you can get that sense of abandonment. Like, where did everybody go? Even if you've chosen to do the walking, I still feel you can get that feeling.
I felt exactly like that. And that feeling of abandonment then turns into, why did you leave me? And that somehow, in my experience, turned into, well, I might be not worthy. Probably I'm not useful anymore. And I started questioning my competencies and my, not my values. My values are still the same. What was I good at? So it really affected my self-confidence. Those were the key things that hit me. What about you, Jill? What are the things that hit you daily?
I think, I mean, one of the reasons I love this podcast is that I think we bring different experiences to this particular age group. In that, I mean, I've mentioned before that I skipped out the door. What I when I was retrenched, what I really truly wasn't expecting the identity shift that occurred though. I had not planned that. I'd been expecting the retrenchment, and I just thought, thank you very much. I'll go play with my business for a while. I had no understanding or appreciation of the personal shift that was actually thrust upon me.
Was
And I
that
can
quick?
tell you that I I I feel like I went back to single, Jill. I actually feel like all that load lifted. And yes, I'm still married. I've still got two great kids. They're still there. But there must have been that much weight there that just the pure that one thing shifting in my life, more laughter, more fun, more silliness. I mean, I'm silly and a bit of a dickhead at home anyway. More of that. And, you know, a calmer house, a happy house. And that's just from me then being present. And then when the kids aren't vying for your attention because there's so little of it, they're not mucking up as much. They're behaving better. So that, like, all of the pieces of the puzzle started to fit back together properly. And so I actually do feel like I went back to a more carefree version of myself. And interestingly, I think we both arrived at an identity shift. And I would imagine, I would have felt that probably we would have had opposite feelings, because I didn't choose what happened to me. And in a sense, I'm not saying you chose it, but you made decisions of a certain way that, you know, it wasn't
Left
thrust
me.
upon you, if you know what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I would expect the opposite for us to be feeling very, very different. And it's quite interesting that a hand was played to me and I just sort of yeehaw out of it. And very opposite kind of thing that you've been going through. And don't get me wrong, not life isn't all tickety boo and amazing. And there's still lots of transformations that we're going to keep going through. It's just really important that we keep having these discussions. So my identity is actually still evolving. And what I'm pleased to say at the moment, now I'm a month into my new role at the moment, but I'm a damn it that I'm not going to let the corporate me reemerge, because me is much better than corporate me.
Oh, and you, if that doesn't happen, if that does happen, I'm going to go knock, knock. It's again.
Also, like, I've gotten to a stage now, so I've clocked up 50, and I've gotten to a stage where it's time to have fun. I've done the serious corporate ladder thing, and I've you know, I feel like I've achieved what I've wanted to achieve. I've had you know, earned my stripes, so to speak. And now I'm not in a position where I need to prove anything. I'm in a position where I can deliver, and I'm going to deliver. And let's smile about it as we go through it.
Yes.
And I feel a lot of young women, especially trying to climb corporate ladders, because we've both, as female corporate leaders, both been through that identity check. My entire career, I've had to be there in a female in a male room. And that changes your identity. And I think that's where the corporate cloak gets built, to be honest. And I keep talking about this bloody corporate cloak because it's so all encompassing. Yeah.
Maybe.
All right. Let's see what's next. What shall we ask you? Ooh, okay. What about this one? This might be deep, Barbara.
Oh,
Well,
God.
not being deep, a little bit deeper. When people stopped needing you in the same way, what did that leave you with?
Abandonment. The same things. I think that's it hit me. And I guess it's similar, right? Your children grow up. It hasn't happened in my case yet, and leave the nest, fly the nest. I talk to friends who say that they feel abandoned. They feel like, oh my God, what do I do with myself? Who am I? That would be the next identity.
Yeah.
Right? What am I doing now? Well, how do I spend my time? One of my friends here said to me a few weeks ago, "Oh, I think I might end up doing some charity work with you because, I don't have anything to do now." So I said, fantastic.
It's a great idea.
Absolutely. Yeah. Or when your situation in work changes. So in that case, like we said before, I felt like people don't need me anymore. And it could have been my team, because I absolutely loved working with my team, independent from the company, different teams, different companies. I loved coaching, mentoring, having fun together, building things, delivering. But then it could be that's the other thing. I had created such deep relationships with the clients that I used to work with that I realized that I maintained the relationship even when I changed company. They were no longer my clients, so my ex-clients. But I have a variety of people out there that actually I've grown incredibly close to. And I felt very much, I still feel connected. But again, I felt like, oh, hold on, I don't have this community or society around me anymore. And somehow that was completely tied to the value I gave to myself.
I think you do have to make sure that you're putting in as much as expecting back. So don't sit back and expect people to reach out all the time. Like, do it yourself. Reach out. Hey, let's grab a coffee. Or just how are you doing? They probably appreciate it too, to be honest, because they're more than likely feeling the exact same thing. We never know.
That's the other thing that I've realized, talking to a lot of people, trying to remain active, networking a lot, doing my shift. We're both doing our shifts, right? For charity, which
I
is
had to
fantastic.
stop mine, but
Oh, okay, fair enough. You had to do, but then, at some point you're going to restart it, just get settled and then you can do that. But I would say that that's the one thing that has really, really, really helped me regain confidence on one end, the sense of worthiness, and my tribe. Because my tribe, right, then now it changed and shifted. My tribe now will be going to the charity shop, and the customers that will come to the charity shop. I do my shift, and we don't even speak the same language. It doesn't matter, Jill. We communicate, we
yeah, you're
negotiate.
doing all of this, Barbara.
In I teach a bit of Italian, they teach a little bit of Thai, we come up with the next word, we do the negotiation with the
Fantastic.
I know. So in reality, it goes back to one of the things you said before. The biggest, most dangerous thing that I think we all do when we feel quite low is that we end up trying to hiding back into the cave,
Yeah.
because we need, different people process things in different ways. For me, I always have to hide back into my cave. So probably today I needed my cave,
Yeah.
and then
I think that's
thankfully,
totally fine. We all need some hibernation and some, we call it
yeah,
loon time. Even the kids know, like, Mummy, you need some alone time. I'm like, yes. And then off they go. And I think we can't all be expected to be amazing, perfect people all of the time. Like, having down days, having quiet days, having some seclusion is normal, because our emotions are up and down and what we need changes all the time. And I think the only thing there is, you don't want the occasional time to become more and more and more and stretch out. You still need to be integrated. And I cannot speak highly enough for volunteering. Not only are you doing a good thing for the charity, obviously, but you're learning new skills. You're meeting different walks of life, different people. I mean, I was running a food pantry. I mean, I loved it. I've never run a food pantry before. It was
oh my,
great, and I would love to keep doing it, but obviously having a full-time role and then all the other things, it wasn't feasible and I couldn't maintain it. But absolutely, I would go back to it, and I highly recommend. If you There's a lot of there's so much retrenchment around it. It's scary, and I did do a post and a blog about this, that if you have found yourself in that position, like I was, um
yeah.
seek out volunteering opportunities, even for your own sanity. If it's that one day that gets you out of the house and not focusing on job hunting, give yourself a break, go and do something. And just to your point, get the confidence flowing. It can dip, you can lose it when you're in these situations. So could not speak more highly about it.
And losing the confidence, like you said before, it doesn't matter if you chose to walk away or if someone told you to walk away. It doesn't matter if you made
No,
a decision right or to go left. It just,
doesn't.
it doesn't matter. It
It's
happens
a
anyway.
shift. Yeah, it's a shift that happens.
Yeah.
Okay, Barbara, I would just think we better wrap up. Thank you so much. I think this is a really big topic, and I think, to be honest, we could talk for hours about it. And so I think we'll put this back on a loop list that we may come back to and have a look at a few different angles on this. But I just want to say thank you very much. I hope you've all enjoyed watching us. Do join us next time. Please, if you're watching this on replay, then do leave some comments for us. If there's any topics you'd like us to talk about, let us know. And until episode 3 next time, same time next week, Barbara. Look at that smile. Great to see.
Thank you, Gill.